I think they could go in the blank, like here, here, and those spaces. I think it'll be nice. Because I think if it goes here, like these two are here, and then these two are here. I am really, really excited to be making work in Prospect Park with Celebrate Brooklyn, exposing for the first time my series Joyful Blues. I'll be making these flagpoles based on two series, I Am Here and For Mama Adama. I'm so excited about Celebrate Brooklyn. It's one of the things that I look forward to every year. That energy of just liveliness. I think this one is going to be so special because everyone is out somewhat. We're halfway out of the pandemic, I hope. But the idea of just being around other people and hearing music, which my work is so inspired by music, right? And to be able to now have these flags vibrating alongside music and the energy and joy and happiness, I think it's going to be really beautiful. My name is Adama Delphine Fawundu, and I am a visual artist and photographer. I'm a first generation born in Brooklyn with parents from Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea. So I grew up in what you would consider a West African home. My work is multidisciplinary. I started working in photography, and that slowly morphed into video and then screen printing and just really exploring early types of photography and just image making, expanding the language of photography. I started making photographs back in 1993, documenting hip hop culture in New York City. Every time I had my lens on an artist, I was thinking about the historical value and the cultural value of making those photos. For a long time, I thought that my music work was separate from the work that I'm doing now. And it's not, it's all relative. I really see why I was interested in hip hop culture. I was interested in the part of me that I saw being reflected. I'm talking about my Mende and my Boubé roots. I was definitely drawn to the language making and even thinking about the way in which it is formed. So when we think about sampling, I use sampling in all of my work. Whether it's sampling my grandmother's fabrics or sampling through video bites or sampling through photography and different pieces and then putting it together to make a new language. This is my cousin and her friends. And then some of these are like friends of friends' children. All of these came out of years of me putting together projects about young girls. I remember when I first moved into my studio at Columbia, one of the things that kept me grounded was there was a school next door. And at lunchtime, you could hear them screaming and laughing and playing. It evoked so many memories for me. It reminded me of my childhood, of taking my children to school and visiting them during the day and hearing that lunch period. And that just brings me so much joy and peace. So I feel like the images of these young girls is that same kind of feeling, you know, they're just in their moment, doing what they do, enjoying life and just being. Most recently, I've been working on this series for Mama Adama. This series is really about me being in conversation with my grandmother's spirit and her textile making, and really ancestral memory. My grandmother had a textile dyeing business back in Sierra Leone, and her business was making gara fabrics. Gara is a term that we use to describe the type of dyeing techniques that she did. So this shirt that I'm wearing was actually made by my aunt, was hand dyed by my aunt. One thing that really inspired me about these fabrics is the way that they were made. Layers, texture, repetition, patterns, right? All of the things that I'm interested in. All of the series of Mama Adama, there are actually no figurative bodies in it. It's the first series that I've ever done that has no figurative bodies in it, but that has everything to do with the body. So I'm thinking about the complexities of our bodies and how that complexity makes us so unique, which is so beautiful. I did do some of my normal things like sewing hair into some of the prints. Something that's really interesting about these patterns, and in my work in general, Everything is not meant to jump out at you and be recognizable. It's about how the work makes you feel and what it does to you. You don't have to know exactly what pieces came from my grandmother or what patterns I create. It's not all about that, but it's more about the feeling that it evokes. I thought it was very important to take this series that's thinking about ancestral memory and connect it to I Am Here, which is celebrating the youth. For me, it was the full cycle of the youth and the ancestors informing one another. In Mende culture and in many indigenous West African cultures, the baby and the elder, they communicate. They have such a beautiful sense of knowledge and they communicate with each other. And that's what I was thinking about, how that cycle of ancestral memory and the youth with joyful blues. The color blue signifies freedom. There's spiritual connotations to it. Blue is all over my work. So I thought it was beautiful to just connect that, the joy and the blues, and thinking about joyful freedom, but also thinking about placing this in Prospect Park. Prospect Park, to me, is a huge part of the archive. The archive holds memories, it holds stories, and it comes in different shapes and forms. One summer in middle school, a group of top performing students were chosen to do a science project in the park. And so we went to every part of the park and learned so much about the historical nature of the park. It had such an impact on me, and I never saw the park the same after that. I was only about 12 years old or something like that. Working in the park now, like using it as a studio and now a place that I could put public art, it means so much to me because of my personal connection to the park. A part of me is activated, but now I have the chance to activate a space with art. And hopefully when people view the art, a part of them will now be activated. And I'm curious about how young girls of all shades and colors, and not even just young girls, young people, will receive the banners.